Hey, how you doing, YouTube? This is your boy Brogi Naric back again with another episode of Brogi Naric on Films. And in this video, I'm going to be giving my review of Dolemite Is My Name, the new Eddie Murphy film that's now available on Netflix, which was directed by Craig Brewer. Which, looking him up, he's the guy who directed Hustle and Flow and Black Snake Moan, and apparently he's going to be directing Coming to America 2 next year, which kind of iffy about that, but he's got a working relationship with Eddie Murphy, so it makes sense. And this new movie has been in production for a couple of years. I remember when I first heard it was coming out that Eddie Murphy was going to be playing, doing a portrayal of a sort of biopic of Rudy Ray Moore, who, if you don't know, he's a pioneer in filmmaking. In terms of independent filmmaking, he's a pioneer in early rap. Like, he's considered one of the godfathers of rap. He's a comedian and also a movie star, especially back in the '70s when he made his movie based around his character Dolemite. And this film focuses around his the early stages of his career, him starting from the bottom and then building his way up to becoming a household name and popularity, and also the crazy story behind the creation of the first Dolemite movie. Because there are other movies that he made, but this movie focuses on the creation of the first Dolemite movie. I've only seen two of his movies, which was the first Dolemite movie and the second one, Human Tornado. Haven't seen any of his other movies, and but there are some references to his other movies within this movie. And I have to say, this was a very fun movie. Definitely, just check this one out. It's about 2 hours long. It's a solid cast, and it's a very interesting story of watching. It's a basic story. You've seen the story before about someone who was at the bottom and them struggling and working hard, coming up with an idea, and then that becoming popular, and then them rising to the top. It doesn't get into the downfall, which is this movie is really from the build up to the high point, and it doesn't focuses on the downfall. That's one of the things, not a criticism, but that's just one of the things that this movie doesn't get into, which would have been interesting to see as he makes his other films down the road, how things kind of get bumpy. But the most of the fun and humor is in that first production of his first movie. I'm gonna get into this phenomenal cast that they have here. Eddie Murphy, of course, plays the main character, Rudy Ray Moore, and he does a good job as Rudy Ray Moore. He does not sound anything like Rudy Ray Moore, but he does have he tries Eddie Murphy tries his best to get down Rudy Ray Moore's voice, but he doesn't quite get it. But you go with it. You've seen numerous biopics where it's like they don't necessarily look or sound like the person, but they evoke the spirit and the essence of that person, which Eddie Murphy does great, and he does a very good job acting wise in this as well, and humor wise as well. We have let's see, who's another person I want to talk about. I'm going to go right into Divine Joy Randolph, who I've never seen before, but Divine Joy Randolph plays Lady Reed, who you find out in this, which I didn't know the connection between her and Rudy Ray Moore, but she was like Rudy Ray Moore's, she says in the movie, she says protege, like she's someone that Rudy Ray Moore, when he was getting big on the scene, he comes across her and gives her an opportunity to because she's sort of a comedian herself and a singer, and he brings her along on his journey, and she's like a partner of his, and they work together. And she was really good in this film, and finding out, like I said, that connection between the two was very interesting. Like I said, never seen her before, but she did a great job. And then, of course, Mike Epps is in the movie. He plays the character Jimmy, who was a friend of Rudy Ray Moore's, who was like, from the way they described him in the movie, he was like the set guy, and he also helped them get things. He was like the set guy, but he was also like the costume guy. He would help provide them with costumes and everything. And then you have Craig Robinson, who plays Ben Taylor, who was the musician who created most of the music for the first Dolemite film, and he was a friend of Rudy Ray Moore's, who was a musician who worked at the club that Rudy Ray Moore was like the MC for. And of course, you get Craig Robinson singing, which is always great. Titus Burgess, who you might remember from, I only remember him from 30 Rock, but he was also on there's another Netflix show, something Kimmy Schmidt. He's on that show, and he plays the character Tony, who is a co-worker of Rudy Ray Moore's, and they work together in the record store, and he is like the money man. Rudy Ray Moore gets him to handle the money when it comes to the production of the film. And then of course Keegan Michael Key plays Jerry. Oh, I can't remember his last name. His character's called Jerry, and he's the writer. And he's the guy who writes Dolemite. He was a prominent, a well-known black writer in the '70s, and actor as well, because he acts in the movie. And he's the one that comes up with tries to turn this crazy idea of Rudy Ray Morris and try to make it something sort of poignant, something sort of political, something that's, like most blaxploitation movies. Some of them had a very serious story, but there was always the sex, drugs, and action that was kind of mixed into it. And he was kind of trying to guide this crazy idea into being something like it have more meaning to than just comedy and exploitation. And of course, we have Wesley Snipes in this film playing the D'Urville Martin, who is an actual actor. He was an actor back in the day, and he was the guy who directed the first Dolemite movie. And I didn't recognize his name, but when I looked up his photo, I was like, oh yeah, he's been in various blaxploitation films throughout the time. And for some reason, they don't really explain it, but because I don't know if he had actual director. I'm assuming he had some directorial experience. But there's the scene with Rudy Ray Moore. They see him in a nightclub. They're like, "Hey, you want to be part of my movie?" And he just kind of like, "Okay, sure." And he's hilarious because he's like, as everyone is like all in with this crazy idea, he's the one that's kind of like whatever and kind of like, this is not going to work and this is just so stupid. And he's very condescending, but is a funny character because he's the one who's kind of like, why is this guy trying to be an action hero? He can't do action. Why is this guy trying to be a sex symbol? He's not a handsome looking guy. It's like he's the one person who's just like, this isn't going to work. But his portrayal is hilarious, and yeah, it was just great to see Wesley Snipes do some good acting. It's not just standard action guy. Like he was really doing a lot of comedy. And that's another thing about this movie. This movie is funny. It's really funny. There's other cameos in this movie from Chris Rock and Snoop Dogg and T.I., which is not spoilers because you've seen them in the trailers if you've heard about this film. Like I said, star-studded cast. The writing is good. The jokes are good. The sets are really good, especially for because they don't go too elaborate. But of course, I like all the stuff about how they got certain things together. I like also. It's a bit of I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but I like how he goes into how the Dolemite character was created, where it was a bunch of different various old jokes from different people. In the movie, it was like different hobos or homeless guys who had all these old ways to speak, like old jokes and like the cadence of how they spoke. And Rudy Ray Moore paid them and recorded it, and then reworked it into his own routine where he came up with his rhyming pattern, which then which was used by various rappers that led to hip hop being what it would be. So that was very interesting how the creation of the Dolemite character, which was he didn't come up with the name, but it was like a urban legend type thing, and he just kind of all combined it into one character. And I didn't know that. I just thought it was something he came off at the top of his head. But I like how you get all of that. And the whole thing with him, you see the fro, but it's actually a wig. That was cool. And him getting the suits and all of that. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Lunel. That's the other one. Lunel's in this, too. She's got a quick cameo in this as well. She plays his aunt, I believe. Yeah, she plays his aunt, which was nice. Like I said, it's an easy movie to watch. It's funny. You'll learn some things, especially like the whole thing with the Dunbar Hotel, how that was like a prominent black hotel back in the day, but it was like run down, and then they had to get all the people out of there so they could make the film. The students that Keegan Michael Key's character Jerry students that he knew from different like movie schools, he brings them in. They haven't really worked on many movies, but it was like a ragtag group. It was very interesting, like the guerrilla style of how that movie was made, and when you watch it, you can tell it's like. It's on the shoestring budget, but it's a fun movie. It's crazy, but it's a fun movie, and I love the whole. Like I said, it ends on a high note. It doesn't get into like the downfall or like the lessening of his career, which would have been interesting to see. But I kind of like that they kept it more on the positive side. and look at the positive aspects of what Rudy Ray Moore brought to the world and to black culture, to film culture. Anyway, like I said, it was a very profitable independent film. He was a very profitable independent filmmaker, and he was able to make, like I said, about 3 or 4 other movies after that. Various degrees of success, but you know, Dolemite was the big one. And yeah, check it out. Fun movie. I enjoyed myself, and it's worth it. If you can see it in the theaters, I guess see it in the theaters, but you don't really need to. Just watch it on Netflix and like it on there. But that's my quick review of My Name is Dolemite, which is on Netflix. Go check it out. If you like this review, hit the like button. Check out other videos on this channel, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Peace.
Finish this thought. I am a slave to
the booty.